con Derek para que puedan conocer de un gran emprendedor, muy respetado en Silicon Valley, con mucha experiencia. Así que vamos. Hello, everyone. We have here the great Derek Andersen, founder of Startupgrind and BEVY, an amazing entrepreneur from the United States. And I'm so proud to have you here, Derek.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here with you. Hi, everyone.
Nice. So, well, this is a great opportunity. Thank you to be here and be part of CMX Connect, which is an amazing program we have around the world. And we're building community, we're inspiring people, we're educating people. And you have the guy here who makes everything happen. So, Derek, tell me a little bit about yourself.
I was born in Tampa, Florida. I've lived all over the world. I spent 8 years outside the United States, mostly in Europe. And I currently live in Palo Alto. I have 4 kids under the age of 13. I coach baseball. I'm a Gemini. It's my star sign. And I'm one of the co-founders of Startupgrind, which is a community that helps educate and support startups and entrepreneurs. We have 600 active chapters around the world doing that. And then I'm also one of the co-founders of BEVY, which is a tool that we built for Startupgrind to run its community. And we now power a lot of really incredible communities around the world with that tool.
Yes, guys. Well, Startupgrind is the biggest community of startups in the world. So this is just amazing. I don't know how you did it, Derek, but I mean, we're in every corner of the world. Every entrepreneur or every tech entrepreneur knows about us, and you have done a great job. And obviously, I would like to know how everything started.
Well, it just started with trying to solve my own problems, which a lot of great ideas start that way. We were building products at the time, kind of failing a lot, making a lot of mistakes. And so myself and a few friends started to get together and in my little office here in Silicon Valley. And we just started to share ideas. And people really loved our events. They loved the community we were building, but they didn't love our product. So they said, hey, stop working on that product. We don't know about that. But this community thing is really cool. So that's what we did. We just spent more and more time on it. And eventually, people would come and say, hey, I found out about this online. I'm not from here. I'm from Toronto. I'm from Dallas. I'm from Singapore. Can I do this in my city? And so we figured out a way to let them do that. And that's kind of how Startupgrind got going. That's how sort of my adventure in the community space really got going.
Yeah, and then I think that, I have been part of Startupgrind the last 4 years, and I think, well, we had a different panel last year, right, Derek, in Draper University. I think we spoke about it, and I think it's just amazing, and the fact that creating community is so impactful. The fact that every entrepreneur in the world have a place to go and meet people, and this is called Startupgrind. It's just amazing, and for me, it's still. It's like the 4th time that I'm asking you the same question. How did you guys scale so big? How you spread the word in order to be in every corner of the world? It's not easy. There is a lot of communities out there, and that doesn't happen.
I think 2 things were really important for us. One is early on, we put our values on the homepage. And so that when people came, they would see that Startupgrind was about giving more than you take, helping others first, and making friends. And the moment we did that, we noticed an immediate increase in quantity and quality of people that were getting engaged with us. And what they would say when they would get on the phone with us, they would say, I really resonate with your values. And this is a community that I want to be part of because of that. It's like me. And so that became a huge thing. That was very easy, very cheap to put those on. It took like 10 minutes. The The second thing was, I mean, I don't take really any credit for this, but just sort of the right thing at the right time, and I've worked on lots of ideas that were not the right thing at the right time. So it's very hard to force that. And, but there was enough people that wanted it, that needed it at that moment in time, that it created this opportunity to grow. And, we did some things to help engineer that and to push that. But we partnered with people like Google. We were writing on places like TechCrunch. People were seeing our videos. There's different things that were happening, but we created a model that scaled, where we found great people like you, Luca, who, originally some people said, "Hey, Derek, you're going to have to fly to every city and do the interviews. That's the only way it'll work." And I was like, I don't want to do that. Like, I have little kids. Like, I need to be here. And so we found a scalable model, and we just said, hey, let's do that. Let's empower great people like Luca, or let's empower great people like, Brian in Washington, D.C., or whoever. And that, allowed us to really like spread the word and bring more people into our tent of like, hey, we're doing this together. And it's always more fun to do stuff with more people than to try and, make it all yourself and just you. So yeah, I think some of those strategic things were smart, but also just kind of something people needed at that time.
Yes, makes a lot of sense. And I have to say, like, not because I'm part of this and working with BEVY CMX and being part of Startupgrind, I have to say, like, Startupgrind changed my life. The fact that you can have all the tools to create community and, help other people, automatically help yourself. So it's just amazing, guys. You have to be in the industry and community building, providing value first, so you can see the outcome. It's just amazing. Well, Derek, and obviously, I mean, a lot of things happening in Startupgrind, a lot of things happening around the world. But right now, from your point of view and your feeling, what do you think is the biggest success of Startupgrind?
Well, that's really interesting. What do you define as success? Is it financial? Is it impact? Is it, the lives that were affected? I mean, you say something like that, and it's like, well, hey, my life has changed because of Startupgrind. Well, that's worth probably more to me than like a startup, making a little more money,
Okay.
So, I mean, look, it's a lot of times I say that the greatest success of Startupgrind is Startupgrind, because, it was like our team and us, who had not had a lot of success, but we're not dumb people. So like, we're intelligent, we're working very hard, but then working on something that people actually wanted, was able to really grow and to scale, versus other things we're working on that people didn't want. And
yeah.
But I think it is. I think it's the lives of the people, the organizers especially. That's probably the biggest impact. Ourselves, certainly BEVY. We employ many people. We help a lot of communities to sort of exponential. So we used to just help build Startupgrind's community. Now we build the communities of some of the biggest and best companies in the world. That has a kind of exponential impact that would have never happened without Startupgrind. So it's really rewarding to be able to be part of that.
Yeah, and I know you, and I know that I remember when you say a few months ago, that you say that your dream is to make other people's dream reality. And you say that it wasn't a meeting, and you have to know this guy. I mean, I can give you his address in Silicon Valley. No, I'm kidding.
Easy to find.
So Derek, so you spoke about BEVY, and I think it's important to have the conversation about, like, everything started as Startupgrind, but then during that process, you as a team, as the founders, you needed to make a decision about, okay, like, so Startupgrind is great, but we have this tool, and now please explain us how that happened, how Startupgrind pivoted or changed into BEVY, and why.
Well, when we built it, we were having these problems that we couldn't solve. I looked at all the tools in the market. I couldn't find anything that solved more than 60% of our problem. And so, I mean, naturally, you think, well, if we're building this for us, maybe somebody else has the same problem. And so when we launched it for Startupgrind, I just showed it to a few people. And the first guy I talked to, who was running another community, he said, I'll buy it. And I was like, you will? And he was like, yeah, I'll buy it. And I was like, well, he's like, how much is it? And I was like, I don't know, maybe like 20 grand a year. He's like, oh, I'll pay that for sure. I was like, dang it. Like I should charge more, So he signed up. Well, it cost us like 50,000 to get him to using it. Cause it was like, it was only built for one person, us. So we didn't make any money on that. So then the next thing was I just kept showing it. And then eventually we showed it to Atlassian and they bought it. And it was crazy because we had no website. We had no name. The product was called the Startupgrind dashboard. It didn't make any sense. And it was like, if we can sell this and all of these things are going against us, no website, no customers, no security. I mean, we had some, but not great. We do now. It's very good. But all of these things, and we can still sell it, then we must have something. So then the next month after that, I set up a new company because it was like Startupgrind and the software were kind of different. So we spun it out in this new thing so Startupgrind could keep doing what it's doing. And then we eventually split the team. But it was really driven by, because I failed so much in my ideas, it was really driven by customers. I said, if the customers won't buy it, and that's why we didn't have a website. I said, if we don't have a website and people will buy it, we have something special. And then when we did it, it's like, okay, we should get a website. Like, this is dumb. This is hurting us. But, we're really not trying to force it. And then it just like kind of evolved naturally over months and years.
Nice. I mean, guys, whether you're a community builder, entrepreneur, this is just a masterclass about entrepreneurship, because sometimes people spend 10 years like forcing something, it never happened, but you can see how you can make things happen. I mean, you don't need the website, you don't need everything figured out. You just need to figure out a need, a problem, to solve a problem that exists, and pay attention to the websites and the things that are not important later. Just execute. That's amazing. Even if you're a community builder, it's also great, because sometimes you can get stuck about, okay, I don't have this tool, I don't have enough access, enough followers. Now you can just start from the problem, try to solve that problem. Thank you, Derek, for that. And I would say, like, okay, great. You build Startupgrind, scale around the world. BEVY is amazing. You have a great background. But let's talk about BEVY and community. Why BEVY is innovating the community building industry?
Well, I mean, there's just, like I sort of talked about, there have been these needs that haven't been met. And we, as people experiencing this pain, went out to try to solve these things. And now we work, with all these other companies, and now we hear their pain. I think the community industry, community building, 5 years ago, extremely underappreciated. Today, much more appreciated, on a much better path, much more important. There are community teams that are the most important, like there are the community teams in certain companies that are some of the most important teams in the whole company. Maybe it's not all the way there yet, but a lot of places are showing how it can be done really, really well, and why you need to invest in community. And so, we're trying to help those companies, find the success in that and to bring more belonging into people's lives. I think, David Spinks has a book called The Business of Belonging. And, a lot of people in community, we don't really think about the business. A lot of us are more what we call in the States sort of almost like liberal arts kind of people. Like, you're doing it because it feels right and you want to help people. And it's just like, sort of like, figure out the money later. That's definitely how we are too. But more and more people are seeing that there's actually, if you're good to people and you take care of them and you help them feel less lonely, like that's actually worth a lot, because people are paying for a lot of things to try to eliminate the loneliness in their life. And it doesn't work. What really eliminates loneliness is friendships. It's being around other people. It's feeling meaning. You can't just go buy something and your problems are going to go away. So that's what community people do. And I think more and more the world is waking up to the value of it. And in some cases getting huge value. So we're sort of along for that ride.
Yeah, I think like when we had a conversation before, you mentioned this in the CMX summit this year, and I think that these are a group of set of circumstances happening right now that is making the community building to make more sense. And obviously, I think it's the future personally, not because we're here. Like things are changing dramatically. And for example, the problems, I'm not going to mention specific social media, but it's not how it used to be. People is getting tired. People wants to be loved. People wants to be part of something. And that will be the future to build the companies through community. So it's super important. And obviously, my next question was like, why community building? I think you already like answered that question, but if you want to go profoundly about it, why? What's the why about the community building?
I mean, what else could you do that is more impactful? And I think our generation of people, I'm a little bit ahead of you, but an age, but like this kind of block of people, like we really care deeply about making the world a better place. And we care deeply about driving fairness, and we care deeply about helping. And I think, community building sits at the center of all of those things. And so, yeah, it's sort of like, where you say like, hey, like, what are you most proud of at Startupgrind? And it's a really interesting question, because I don't think about it a lot. But, I think at the end of the day, what are people going to say about Startupgrind? Like, are they going to say like, again, are they going to talk about how much money it made? Are they going to talk about, some startup that exited out of it? No, they're not going to talk about that. They're going to talk about the relationships they had and how it made them feel. And that's what community is all about. And so everybody here that's building community, like it's hard. It's like everything's hard. So it's not just hard for us. Like every job that somebody's really pushing is going to be hard, but we have our struggles too. But at the end of the day, like it can change someone's life. It can stop someone from ending their life. It can get someone back on the right track. It can help someone, fix their problems, their personal problems that are plaguing their family or plaguing themselves. So like we can be such a huge difference maker in people's lives. And I don't know what other work's more important than that. I'm not sure.
Yes, definitely. I can say like from my experience as Startupgrind director in Chile and now working with BEVY, yeah, sometimes it gets hard. It's not always easy. But when, for example, a conference is done and the people write you all the time about like, this is amazing, this changed my life. I connected with my next partner, my next investor, my next client. We're getting each other. It's just an amazing, like, it's just amazing. So we're about to finalize. We're in the last questions, of course. I think, again, in the next question, you already mentioned a few things. But just talking about industry per se and market, what do you think is the future of community building?
It's getting bigger. It's getting more influential. We're growing. Like it's the opposite of stagnant. It's not, it's flowing. It's moving. Sometimes it moves too fast. Sometimes not fast enough. But like our influence, is growing more and more every single day. The importance of what we do is growing. And if you look over many years, it's very obvious. It's hard looking day to day. So I would just tell people, like, keep going, become an expert in this. I think there's a huge place in the marketing and the customer advocacy world for people that are exceptional at community. There aren't very, very many of them in the world. So as you become one of those people, or as you keep getting better every single day, that starts to add up over a long period of time. And I think there's going to be a really important place for you as the next 5-10 years move on.
Yeah. Just very quickly, guys, in Latam, you have to use CMX. I mean, there is a lot of...
Hi, Derek. Do you hear me?
Well, I can.
Hello. Hi, Derek. Nice to meet you. My name is Mauricio. As I saw that Luca froze, I wanted to ask you a question. Can I?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. As you were talking about profitability and everything about like monetization of your businesses, I wanted to ask you if you use, for example, BEVY to also monetize, for example, Startupgrind and CMX, or did you divide all the P&Ls from each business, or how have you done to keep all your businesses like on track to date?
Yeah, they're totally different. So we split them in 2017, and Startupgrind's bootstrapped, 15-person company, and BEVY is a venture-funded software company, software as a service. So, the model is subscription software. We only do deals, that are 12 months in length. It's very different from Startupgrind, which is more sort of sponsorship and event-based. So each, it's essentially, Startupgrind is essentially like a media company, and BEVY's a software company. So, they have their own advantages and disadvantages, but they're definitely very separate.
Okay, so even the partners are different. So, or the associates.
What do you mean by partners?
Like the sponsors or the associates of the companies?
Yeah, very, very separate, totally different. And I'm myself and one other person and my co-founder, we're the only ones that work on both.
Okay.
So, but otherwise, yeah, everyone is completely different and separate. And that happened, 5 years ago. So we made a decision, and hey, on this day, we're going to split the company. And it was very sad in some ways, but also exciting. And, they're going to work on this, and these people are going to work on the software outside of Startupgrind. Because when you just had when you're just making it for Startupgrind, like, that was one thing. But now you're making it for all these other companies. You need to support so many people. It can't just be about Startupgrind.
Okay, great. Thank you. Look, can I ask you another question after
Sure.
I wanted to know also, in BEVY, you are a software as a service business.
Yeah.
Like a specific segment for creating communities, or you just approach any opportunity of community creators, or do you have a specific segment that you think is the best fit for you?
Definitely. We definitely work with enterprises, because when we built it for Startupgrind. We were kind of like an enterprise. So we definitely focus on that, people that need the sort of enterprise feature set. And really, we work a lot with people in technology. People, they're sort of on the cutting edge of marketing and innovation. Like, those are the kinds of people I think that value community more than other industries. So that's we kind of focus on those things.
Okay, Derek. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I will let another person to ask any questions they may have. Thank you.
Well, Derek, it's been amazing to have you here. I know this is going to be repeated again next time. I would say the last question that I have, and it's about very quickly, what is the best advice for community builders out there?
Don't give up. Keep going. Help people, provide some value, and don't give up. That's it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Guys,
Thanks,
CMX
y'all.
is
Have a great day.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, guys. Bye, Derek.
Hi,
Bye,
Derek.
everyone.
Hi, Luis. We have
Bye,
the last
see ya.
question
Thank you.
about Felipe Cano. Sorry about that. We are here in Medellin. Felipe.
Hey, Juan.
Okay.
Hi, Derek. Thank you very much
Hi.
for your presentation. So this is Felipe Cano from Medellin, Colombia. I would like to know a bit about your experience building DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations. So I'm co-founder of Rutanio Token. We have been building a community of entrepreneurs for the last 3 years, and we have our own token. And the way we distribute the tokens is making proposals from the community, then the community can vote. And we are working on being more decentralized week by week, day by day, month by month. But it's easy to say we are a DAO, but in my experience, it's hard to implement a DAO. I would like to know a little bit about your experience on the topic. Thank you.
Yeah. So, I mean, we have a DAO at Startupgrind, but it's not token based. There's nothing really crypto related to it. And I think obviously there's a lot of issues in the token space, the crypto space right now. Those will go down. I mean, it's like peak terrible. So at some point it will get better. But for me, the most interesting thing about the DAO is the ownership component. I think that's really interesting. So that's why we use a DAO, because there's no good legal structure to do that. But we don't use a token with it. We do, have people that are members and participate in it, but we're not, creating our own coin or anything like that, which seemed very speculative to me. And, just not a world I really wanted to get myself into. So I think you just, if there's a really simple, thoughtful reason why you should be using a DAO versus something else. And if there's, look, the utility of tokens and things, it's like, you could spend all day talking about that, but we've seen this last week, like things that don't have real value can create sort of imaginary value around it just to do it. You should have real value. If there is something that has real value, make sure you need to use the token to do that. Or make sure that people are passionate enough that they really want to get invested in it for the right reasons. And I think, we've kind of built the community first and then we put the DAO with it. Doing it the other way around, I'm not an expert in how to do that, but we've seen a lot of communities that were formed around Web3 collapsing. So, just be really thoughtful about creating the value, creating something real that you can put your finger on. You can, really say like, this is what we're doing. And if we don't do this, it will go away and it'll be a big problem for people. You're really driving genuine value, people's lives, with whatever product or service you have. But I think the DAO structure is really interesting for communities. So I think it's a thoughtful way to engage more community members for sure.
Thank you, Derek, once again for your
Okay,
presentation.
thank you all.
Thank you.
I got to jump. I appreciate you all. Thanks so much for having me.
Hi, Derek. Bye, Luca. Thank
Bye.
you so much for believing Latin.